Hey everybody, Wolfie here. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. Hope nobody died. That's a horrible thing to say. If somebody out there watching did have someone die on Christmas, sorry. That's bad, and it's probably a terrible way to lead into a video. Let's try that. Let me try that again. Hi everybody, Wolfie here. Hope no one died. Yeah. I'm driving home. Traffic is okay so far, but it's predicted to have delays. Also, I'm really tired for some reason. I don't know why. And I need something to stay awake or keep me awake on my way home, and you are it. I'm going to talk to my center console and pretend the people around me don't think I'm insane. Yeah. So how the hell are you today? No, I did have a topic to rant about a little bit. And again, believe it or not, I'm going to stay mostly politically neutral here. I am going to mention the T word. So if, your butthole clenches when someone mentions Trump, well, get a cork. That's going to be fun. I am going to say that word a couple more times. But I'm not going to bitch about politics. I'm just using the poor guy as an example because this just happens to be what I want to bitch about. So, the news sucks. There's a reason he calls it fake news, and I absolutely adore the man for saying it. And I'm going to give an explanation for that. So, I was just listening to my favorite podcast about 5 minutes ago before I hit record. The Distorted View Show with Tim Henson. Fucking hilarious, and I highly recommend you check it out. It is a free podcast, though you can also subscribe and get more episodes every week. It's totally worth it. It's like $8 a month, and you should totally do it. I'm a lifetime member. Ting! But I was listening to him do one of his news segments where he'll dig up some offbeat news and read it on the show. And the one that he happened to pick about a week ago, was a very generic story about some random toy that's out for the holiday season this year. And he did a great job with the story because he just went off, like he often does. He goes off into the weeds and tells a very different story. And that's the whole point of the show. Who gives a shit about some random crappy toy that's being peddled for Christmas? You want something twisted and demented to go with it. Well, he supplied the ammo. No pun intended. It's some random toy, some fart cannon that uses cartridges of stink spray. And his suggestion was, if you're going to get this for your kids or for some family member, you buy 2 of them. You give the little asshole 1 of them, and you keep the other for yourself. But instead of using the stink cartridges that they include with it, you buy a product called Liquid Ass. And I'm not joking. That's the name of it. That is a real product. And it smells exactly how you think it would. It's really awful. But he was saying, you get one of these for the kid, and you keep one for yourself, and you load yours with Liquid Ass. So when this kid the first thing he's going to do is unwrap this thing, load it up, and shoot it at you. So he said, shoot back with Liquid Ass. So, right, it's a funny bit. He does a good job of it. It's a wonderful show. You should go listen. It's not always fart jokes. There's some cum, too. Anyway. No, but what leads to this rant is how the original article itself was presented. This article goes off and just breathlessly proclaims that whatever this fucking toy is the hottest toy of the season, flying off the shelves. No, it's not. It's a fart gun. Nobody wants this thing. Any kid, it's not part of any kind of merchandising. It's not attached to a brand. No kid even knows about this fucking thing. It's not the hottest toy of the year. And the only reason it's getting any attention at all is because the press is acting like it's the hottest toy of the year. The article itself, it's undoubtedly just a reworded press release. That's really all it is. And it probably was a press release that this shitty newspaper or whatever decided to run. But it reminds me so much of just how stinky again, no pun intended, the news media is, because there's absolutely no credulity. The media subjected this press release, this article, to absolutely no scrutiny whatsoever. None. They don't preface any of the article's claims with any kind of citation. They don't mention any person by name who's making these proclamations that it's the hottest toy this season. They're also not saying according to whom it's the hottest toy in the season, what their metrics are, how they're possibly measuring this or determining it. No, they're just taking their word for it. Meanwhile, President Trump can say something like, the sky is blue. And the fucking Washington Post will print an article saying, claiming Trump claimed without evidence that the sky is blue. We happen to know that sometimes it's actually black. That fucker's lying. Impeach! That's always how it goes. Beyond that, but my point is, they will piss and moan about absolutely any claim Trump makes, and they will cheerfully point out that when he says some random thing, he doesn't immediately bust out an encyclopedia's worth of citations and references. And they'll act like that disproves the claim, and that they're being very scrupulous, and they're checking his sources, and they're actually doing investigative journalism. All they're really doing is saying, he said this, but nuh-uh. They don't typically cite counterpoints either. They don't really, they'll bicker with him in print, but they don't actually typically give sources either, unless it's convenient, and they rarely do. But for a stupid product fluff piece, there's no scrutiny at all. It's an ad. It's really just a paid ad, or in some cases, the sad thing is, they don't even pay to get this shit published. Some news or some shitty journalist, or what passes for a journalist these days, decides, I'm going to get an easy article in, and I'll write up 500 words about this. What is this thing? It's a toy. It's a fart cannon.
Right
that's
Florida
so funny.
408 East Ramp to Orlando,
I'm going to write the word fart a bunch of times and get paid for it. And so he publishes that kind of crap in their local newspaper or prints it on the web. And boom, 500-word article out the door, and he's just shilled for some random piece of crap toy that nobody wants. It just bugs me,
Slight right onto the Florida 408 East ramp, then merge onto Florida 408 East.
They're so unwilling to do the basics of their job, either for or against the truth. It just bothers me so much. And it shouldn't at this point. It's been going on for so long. I should be used to it by now. And I should just, say my piece and be done with it. But fuck that. These people are just worthless assholes. They don't scrutinize the things they should. And they pretend to scrutinize things that may deserve scrutiny, but they don't actually go through the motions. They don't do the legwork. They just act like they're dubious claims. Trump said water is wet, so we'd better talk to those desert scientists and ask them how the desert feels about that. They don't actually bother to do that, mind you. They just act like they're gonna. Oh, we're gonna check into that real soon now. Yeah, Oh, by the way, he's wrong. He fucking sucks. Bleh. You can just feel it coming off them whenever they write about Trump. And it's not just Trump they do this to, incidentally. It's anything, and I guess, again, this should be blatantly obvious, but it's anything they disagree with. Even if it's factually correct. If they decide that 2 + 2 is 5, and some stupid mathematician type, fancy pants brainiac decides to write an article or make a claim that 2 + 2 is 4, well, fuck him. Because, we know the truth. It's really 5. You know it's 5, right? That's stupid. We're going to run a silly Twitter poll, and that'll determine the truth. But really, it's anytime they disagree with something or have their own conclusion, really, they write their articles with the conclusion at the start, Then they sort of bullshit their way to that conclusion. They don't really bother with any kind of facts or evidence anymore. And the worst part is they still claim that that's not what they're doing. They act like they're impartial, which is a lie and an insult. They act like they're fact-checking, when the truth of it is they're really not. They're bending information they can find and twisting it around to suit a narrative that they have decided should be true, or that they want. They're not fact-checking. I used to hold Snopes in high regard, but it turns out they're not really experts in anything. And a lot of their supposed debunkings have actually been kind of full of shit. That really pissed off a friend of mine. It still pisses them off to no end that I don't respect Snopes anymore, and I sort of chuckle when I say something and somebody throws a Snopes link back at me to try to say, you're wrong. Because it's turned out that they're partisan hacks too. But that's a different rant for another day. To get back on topic with the press, they don't fact check. I don't think they accurately report information. I don't think there's a journalist out there today capable of producing an unbiased article or making a statement that doesn't wrap their own biases into what they're saying or into what they're reporting. I wouldn't trust the press to quote somebody. It's as simple as that. Because they get it wrong. So the few times they get it right, they omit things. So they pull that little trick where they put little ellipses in between segments of what a person's saying. It's an old quote trick. Take a quote or a statement like this. I like to think that no one approves of pedophilia. They can twist that around to make it sound like you said, I like pedophilia, by just omitting all the words in between. And they're not wrong, right? It's a quote. It's literally words you said. They took out a bunch, and they put little dots there to make it seem like, okay, they're dropping unimportant words, but they just completely changed the meaning of the sentence. It's an old trick. They love to do it. It's called out-of-context quoting. And that's just one of the cheap tricks they can pull. But they don't even bother with that now. If you get back to Trump, they will straight up say, Trump has claimed without evidence that there's proof that the FISA wiretap crap was all based on a false pretense. It was. There's shit tons of proof. The Inspector General's report came out at the beginning of December that straight up said, yeah, this was bullshit. They lied through their teeth to get these warrants and spied on a presidential campaign under false pretenses. So, whoops. But there's an impeachment we got to worry about. Let's not worry about that pesky due process thing. What are you, a Republican? And that's the kind of crap that the press just keeps doing. I cannot believe that, I keep saying that. I can believe at this point that they just keep on doing it. And, I was going to say, I can't believe they still think people trust them. But that's not true. They know people don't trust them. CNN has to know. They have the lowest ratings of any of the news companies, the news networks. They're getting consistently outplayed by fucking Nick at Night and Better Homes and Gardens TV. Or Home Garden, whatever the stupid Flip Your House channel. They're getting beat by fucking I Love Lucy reruns. On cable. It's depressing. But they carry on. They're still doing all this crap. Lying through their teeth. They get caught lying. And nothing seems to happen. They just keep on doing it. And so I guess that's the meat of my rant. That It just sucks that this is the state of our press. We have free speech, and this is what people piss it away with. And yes, I'm still having trouble concentrating and staying awake. So I'm going to keep babbling here for a minute. Usually when I think these topics up, I have an ending, and I didn't think of one this time. So, nuts to me! I don't really know what to do to fix all this. Because the problem is, free speech is a two-way street. I'm actually what you would consider a free speech absolutionist. I don't really believe there are any legitimate exceptions to freedom of speech, the concept or the principle of it. I don't agree that there should always be consequences.
In half a mile, keep
to
left at the fork to stay on Florida
That's the opposite
408
of what
East.
free speech means. Free speech means speech without consequences. Period. It's an important concept. It is central to any free society. And anytime a society acts to abridge or stop
keep left at the fork to stay on
speech
Florida
in any
408
way,
East.
you're dealing with totalitarianism, and you're on the short road. You're on the short bus to fascism. So, with that principle in mind, the most obvious solution to a crooked media and a shitty press is off the table. And that's good because you don't want the obvious solution to be on the table, and that is having the government or some other body policing what the press can say. Because then you don't have a free press. And it's important for the press to have the right to say what it wants, because every once in a while, they're not total fuck-ups, and they actually report on things that are important. JFK's shooting, Watergate. I'm trying to think of other shit they got right, and I'm drawing a blank. I guess the initial reporting of September 11th was okay. Uh-oh. I might be getting pulled over. Or not. Maybe he just ran up on my ass. A chance to go past me if you like. This is my subtle, please don't pull me over, sir. Oh, good, he's going past me. Yay! That'll wake your ass up. Driving along on the freeway, you're speeding about 10 over the limit, fucking sheriff pulls up behind your ass, gets right off your bumper.
Use the right two lanes to take exit 18 towards Sanford.
He's doing 20 over. I fucking love 40 hitting the 408. Such a crazy road. Anyway, yeah, the press occasionally gets things right. More often than not, they're off, or they don't dig deep enough, or they're just off in the weeds and they don't get it right. But for the most part, they're either they're harmless, or they're just not overtly harmful. And I think in recent years, they've become overtly harmful. I think they've turned into propaganda. But again, I don't think it's the government's place to step in and say, you lying sacks of shit, you need to stop it. The trouble is, that's our job as citizens, and we don't have any way of saying that and enforcing it. I can, shout to the heavens, CNN, you're full of shit. You guys suck, you should go off the air. There ought to be a law. But there isn't one. There's not gonna be one. CNN knows their shit. They don't give a fuck, and they're gonna keep going.
In half a mile, use the right two lanes
Because
to
the
take
bottom
exit
line is
18
they
towards
fucking hate
Sanford.
Trump, and they're gonna bang on him with whatever wet newspaper they've got until he goes away. They're in for a really depressing 5 years. Because he's totally gonna win. Sorry.
Use the right two lanes to
But
take
anyway,
exit 18, then keep left at the fork.
It's our job to try to keep the media honest, and we're doing a really piss poor job of it. But it's not entirely our
Keep
fault.
left
We
at the
don't really
fork.
have any tools anymore to hold the media accountable. Because there's nothing we can do except turn it off. But that's getting harder because they own everything. CNN is an exception, but they're owned by some big ass. I think who owns them? Time Warner. So some big ass conglomerate owns CNN. So CNN doesn't have to turn a profit, and they don't. Trust me. All they have to do is keep broadcasting their propaganda, which they do. And the people who own Time Warner think it's more important to get that message out than it is to turn a profit. Incidentally, that's how you know Trump's gotten under their skin. They don't care anymore about profit. They want to destroy the man. That means he is onto something good. And that's something a lot of people don't really think about too much. Anyone that suffers from Trump derangement syndrome is, of course, never going to admit this. But it's one of the most important guiding principles any human being needs to keep in mind. If you're not rich and something really fucking pisses off the rich, it's something good. If the rich are trying to get rid of it, you want it. And you want to do everything you can to support it. And that includes Trump. Just saying. And I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to some of you because, in your minds, Trump bad. Trump must go away now. Trump bad. Evil. Orange man bad. TV say Trump bad. Orange man bad. Make Trump go away now. And there's no getting through to people who reason like that, and there's a lot of those people. You gotta imagine, he really pisses off some very rich people. And when have you ever known a rich person to have your best interests in mind? And yes, I get it, Trump is rich, so why would he have your interests in mind? But if a whole bunch of rich people are pissed at him, if like a bunch of rich people are pissed about something that one rich guy is doing,
keep right at the fork to stay on Florida 417 till north.
Doesn't it make sense to side with the one they're all pissed at? I'm going out in the weeds myself. You can tell I'm tired. But anyway, I don't know how to solve this media problem. We definitely have one. We can't trust it. They lie about fucking
right
toys.
To stay on Florida 417 till north.
Then obviously they're going to lie about everything else. And they do. And we know, and they know we know, and they don't give a shit. So what the hell do we do about it? They own everything. We can't shut them down. We can't kill them with bad ratings. We can't just tune it out because they're everywhere. I don't know.
Take exit 37A, 37B, then merge onto Florida 417 till north.
You guys taking
merge
notes?
Onto
You're
Florida
getting good directions to my house.
North, then use the right lane to take exit 37A.
Jesus Christ, Betty. I'm just going to tell everybody how to get to my neighborhood.